Hello there and welcome back to Utility Sports. Today's video, we are going to be talking about the top NFL free agents that are still available. But before we get into the video, please subscribe if you do enjoy NFL content, as we are constantly bringing you content throughout the entire season and the off season. We have NFL draft stuff. We cover everything that happens during the year playoffs. There's a lot that goes on with our channel for the NFL. So let's kind of get into the video. Morgan Moses is regarded as the best available free agent right now. I think you could agree on that, just considering his current age, the versatility that he can have on the offensive line. I know he has had two meetings so far with teams. It looks like the New York Jets are a strong candidate for Morgan Moses. I think this makes a lot of sense for him. I think he could be a very, very effective tackle and or guard for them. I think he provides some versatility for the New York Jets. A couple of other players, Sheldon Richardson, a guy that at one point was thought to be one of the better younger players in the NFL. I think that his hype has kind of quieted a little bit, but he can still be a quality interior defensive lineman. I think he can be an effective defensive tackle in a 4-3 scheme. I really like Sheldon Richardson's game, but unfortunately, he's had a couple of not as great years. He was very, very promising when he was drafted by the Jets years ago, but now he sits at kind of the middle ground of his career, trying to figure out what is his role. At this point, there's going to be a couple of teams with that 4-3 that could be potentially looking at him as an option, or he could be a 3-4 defensive lineman on the edge. But I think he's better fit to be a D tackle in a 4-3 scheme. Steven Nelson could be another very, very interesting player from Pittsburgh. He had some quality years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that there's going to be a couple of teams that maybe kind of wait for training camp and stuff, see what happens with their corner room, see how it's coming along. I could see a couple of teams looking for a veteran corner like Steven Nelson, quality guy, around league average, maybe a little above league average. So Steven Nelson's a really, really nice potential pickup. Mitchell Schwartz, very, very consistent tackle throughout his entire career. I think at age 32, he's still an effective tackle moving forward for a team. Obviously, Kansas City decided to go in another direction, but there's a lot of teams that could use his services. I think there's at least 15 teams that would consider signing him at this point. I like Mitchell Schwartz. Him and Morgan Moses should be highly coveted once it comes training camp time. The next one for me here, obviously, this is not my entire list, but this is off of NFL trade rumors. But Brian Poole, once again, very effective corner. I think the New York Jets will strongly consider bringing him back. Maybe they hope to get a long-term deal done with him, or maybe once again another prove-it deal for Brian Poole. He played some of his best football the last two seasons. I think the New York Jets will bring him back ultimately, but once again, another cornerback that is a trusted veteran. I think that once again there's going to be a pretty good market for him come that training camp time. Russell Okung, offensive tackle at 32 years old, last played for the Panthers. Once again, this is a steady offensive lineman that you can really trust moving forward. There's going to be some injuries, and he's going to be one of the top guys on the list to bring in just to help solidify things. Some of the issue with some of these guys is more contract rather than talent. I think that's kind of where the issues lie. The perfect example are the next two guys, Melvin Ingram and Richard Sherman. I think Richard Sherman's looking for fair comp. There's a lot of teams that would be interested in him, despite being 32 or 33 years old at that cornerback spot. In a zone heavy scheme, he is a phenomenal ball hawking talent, great football IQ, just one of the best zone defenders of this generation. I think he will get a pretty good contract still, despite being in free agency. He's just kind of waiting for the right one, the right fit to happen. Melvin Ingram, very effective pass rusher in his career with the Chargers. Obviously, the Chargers decided to go once again in a different direction, but he still can be an effective. I mean, even if it's just a rotational pass rusher, but I think he will find a starting job somewhere. Once again, it's going to kind of come down to injuries for him. Next one, Rick Wagner from Green Bay. I think Rick Wagner has the opportunity to get a starting job once again. I think that he's had some very, very nice years in his career, a little up and down, but ultimately I really like Rick Wagner's game. Number 10, we have Justin Houston from Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is probably very interested in bringing him back. Awesome locker room presence. Guy that was so consistent year after year with the Chiefs. I think he was a good fit in Indianapolis, and I think he will be a staple in that defense for at least another year. And we'll kind of go down a little further, and I'll kind of list off some notable ones. KJ Wright, Olivier Vernon, Le'Veon Bell. That's a guy that I think has gotten kind of a bad rap. Obviously, he really struggled once he signed with the Jets. They just did not have a consistent offensive line. And then when he went to Kansas City, it was more about role, more about fit. I think that he did not get enough opportunities in Kansas City. So he's going to kind of sit back and wait for the right offer to come along. There's going to be some buyers on him. It's going to be probably a 1-year deal for little money, but it's kind of like one of those prove it deals. I think he still has a role in the NFL. He's a phenomenal pass catching back. And just a couple of years ago was regarded as the top back in the entire league. He's only 29. I get 30 is kind of that road mark where, players at that position fall off drastically, but I still think he has quite a bit left in the tank. I mean, he is significantly better than guys like Chris Thompson, and they've remained to hold jobs still in the NFL. But I think Le'Veon Bell, phenomenal player. He's not the back he once was, but people are really underrating him at this point. I'm not saying he is a top 10 back, top 15 for that matter, but I still think he has some left in the tank. Malik Hooker is a guy that personally I would have had quite a bit higher. Obviously, has dealt with some injuries in his career, but he's only 25 years old. I still think he is growing and progressing as a player, but the injuries have really kind of halted his progression in that regard. But I think he should be considered a top 5 free agent if I was actually putting this list together. Darqueze Dennard, a guy that had originally committed, a while back, was signing with Jacksonville, and then he didn't. And, last year he played in Atlanta. I think Dennard is, one of those guys going to just be a rotational corner, a corner depth piece. Now let's kind of look a little further down. There's some veterans that have been here for quite some time in Jarrell Casey and Quan Short, two guys that can be effective rotational linemen. Geno Atkins is another one. These guys used to at one point be at the very top of their position or near the top of their position, especially Geno Atkins and Jarrell Casey. They were very dominant at one point. Obviously, they have hit their 30s, slowing down quite a bit, but still can be effective contributors for a roster. This isn't completely updated 100% because Todd Gurley is still on here. I think Detroit, that's an okay fit. It's fine, but obviously for Todd Gurley's sake, you wish you could have gotten a better opportunity. Granted, he's only 27 years old, only a couple of years removed from just having one of the best running back seasons of the 2000s. Just great talent at one time. Injuries have really hurt him, unfortunately. Let's keep going here. Everson Griffin, a guy that was a staple for that Minnesota Viking defensive line. Absolutely love getting after the quarterback, as was thought to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL at one point in his career. But now it's kind of gone downhill from there. Him and Mike Zimmer split. Everson Griffin has some consistency with inconsistencies in his game, especially against the run. He had some issues, but really good at getting to the quarterback. And then you'll see a couple of veterans down here as well. A guy that I think is being way undervalued is Trey Turner. I think he's definitely a guy that people should be looking to sign right now. I don't think they should even wait till camp. I think it makes sense for them to go ahead and go after a guy like Trey Turner. And I'll go down a little further. Alshon Jeffrey, he could be an effective receiver for some teams. I think, maybe even New England could consider him as well. I think that would be a really nice fit for the Patriots and Alshon Jeffrey. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you do like NFL content. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next video.